When you look back at drifting and how people got hooked, there's usually 3 things people will reference. You got number 1, Formula Drift. That's obviously a pretty common one these days. Number 2, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, okay? And number 3, Adam goddamn LZ. Now, whether people want to admit it or not, the era of social media content creation turned drivers was championed by like just a few people, and Adam LZ was one of them. And I'd be willing to put a good old crisp 2% cold glass of milk on that. So let's spend some time talking about why he changed it and why I think it's a good thing. Because the drift scene get a little hot, getting a little saturated, and of course that means it has to get a little bit more unique if people want to stay into it. Welcome to Torque Motorsport, and if you hadn't had a chance to download Torque Drift 2 yet, what are you even doing? That's why I'm over here right now. We just released our first drivable experience, which takes you to the track of Formula Drift Long Beach or Formula Drift Irwindale with some good old-fashioned Nissan cars, and our next update features some serious goodies from Adam LZ himself, which you can actually check out his car in the garage, and if it's the end of November, you might even be able to play his compound. What is that? That's super stoked. We haven't had something like this in a long time, and I want to say we're probably one of the first video games to do it in this level of detail, and we're stoked. Adam LZ, Lord Zebra, is one of those people that is constantly on the tip of tongues when it comes to conversations around drifting, motorsport events, and just like influencer stuff, okay? But the start of it all began with some good old-fashioned BMX vlog style content. If you know Adam LZ and you follow him, you've heard this before. But he was taking the skateboarding video days of webisodes. That's why his content feels the way it does. So when the content started, it was just BMXing, it was just vlogging, and it was just having fun. The interesting thing here, though, is that when he jumped from BMX over into cars, he probably picked one of the weirdest cars to start in. It was an automatic BMW 325i with a blown suspension that he thought just looked cool because it was lowered. Some time came, and then the next car that came up was a BMW 335, which if you look way back in the history of video content, you'll actually see it. But the goal was always the same, and if you look at some of his old stuff, you'll hear him say it. He wanted to have his own business, be his own boss, and drive dope. I made up the last one. So even though he went to school for engineering, the goal from the get-go is where he is now. And where he is now, it's insane. Like, if you think about it truly, it is, I think, something a lot of people wish they could do. So no, we're not trying to ride curtails or purposely hate on anything here. I'm just talking about the sheer determination of this story is something that a lot of people that like cars, people like you and people like me, could probably look up to, because he's got 3.71 million subscribers as of filming this video. He's got more cars than I think anyone knows what to do with. A world tour for a drifting series. I mean, his first car, sure, it was an S13 with an SR20, and now he's piloting practically a rocket ship from RTR. He won Rookie of the Year in 2020, and the man just keeps growing and doing dope stuff. So he also has a company that sells car parts, which you can now do on torquemotorsport.io as well, which I think is pretty neat if I do say so. So you can drive a car in the game, and then you can go build your car on the website. Anyway, it's the coolest thing, and if that's not it, he's got like the cutest dogs in the world. And a drift style that is changing how I think people look at drifting too. And that's the important part, because here's the thing. Drifting as a motorsport is a constant battle between mature motorsport and grassroots vibes, okay? Watch any FD event live stream and you'll see it in the comments. The continued pressure between like the quantity of ads and the actual driving. You've got this consistent thing where people are trying to figure out what the vibe is of these huge scale events, but then in the same token want to make sure that every sort of score or trophy or reward can be backed up by data. You've got this continuous push of people watching drifting and thinking to themselves, am I watching the NFL or am I watching college football? And some people, if you get those people in the same room, I'm not a football person, but if you get the people in the same room, they'll tell you that the two sports, although the same exact game, are treated entirely differently by their fans. And that's a really big deal, especially when you consider how big drifting is growing. Formula Drift obviously has their point system, but even that can be subjective in nature because you have a scoring system that has style built in, which makes a lot of people confused on just what they're watching. And so when you finally find a driver that seems to have a little bit more style just outside of the sport itself, it's something that's a little bit worth latching onto. And that's the thing, as the viewers, that can be tough, but that doesn't have to be the case to just enjoy drifting, because people look at content that people are loving. Like, people enjoy the sport now because of the individuality through Adam's content. something that before wasn't really seen in the community. And because of that, people feel invested. Like I said before, it's like watching your favorite football player, but they grow a following, so now you just follow him because of who he is versus what team he plays for. Like, it's not just about watching the Packers. I've watched one Packer game and the stadium is located 22 miles away from me, not even. He's just also playing, at the local park. He's playing at a college game for fun, and he's staying involved in other things too, which make it way more enjoyable to watch. There's something about how people invest back into a sport, and I think Adam LZ does a really great job at doing that. But don't let the sport define them either, which is also awesome. Now, this is a new take, especially with the growth of social media, and if you don't believe that, look at what's happened with people like Lewis Hamilton, if you're a Formula One fan, whose following surpasses just driving for Mercedes. Like, philanthropists love him, or singers like Charlie Puth and his TikTok account. It's new, and for the automotive scene, it's brand new, and it's something that I think Adam has kind of paved the way in, and why a lot of people, I believe, do look up to him, because Adam's huge nowadays, and there's always opinions on his driving, his skills, and things like that, and I just want to put that all away, and just look at the path that he went on in and of itself, because guess what? I'm not a professional drifter, so I can't criticize it because I don't know what the I'm looking at sometimes. But in my humble opinion, he's made it. He's made the sport more approachable. He's made it so that people can jump in and look at cars and understand the basic premise of them because he's made it fun. He's brought a ton of new brands to the game without letting them take over. He's brought a lot of money into the sport without letting that money decide what he should or shouldn't talk about. And that's something that can be even harder to do, especially as you get bigger. And for the most part, I would just simply say it's really fun and exciting to watch this whole social media space evolve even further, because in the beginning days of YouTube, him and TJ and a couple other ones were probably some of the first. And with the upcoming scale of TikTok, I'm excited to see maybe who comes from that. And just remember, if neither of those things are enough, he also has a whole goddamn compound. And you can't tell me that him and Cletus doing that is not the dopest thing ever. Which, if you actually download Torque Drift 2 for free on Epic Games Store with the link below, you're gonna have a pretty insane opportunity to drive it yourself at the end of November in-game. We actually went to go scan it. It was sick. Holy shit. So click the link below, download it, let me know in the comments what you think we should talk about next. And if you haven't had a chance to drive in Torque Drift 2 yet, go do that. Let us know your thoughts. We're looking at every single comment so that we can make the game bigger and better than ever before. I'm Alex Martini with 2 underscores on Instagram. I'm over here in Torque Motorsport, and we'll see you on the next one. Adios. Apparently he had a nickname, Lord Zebra. That's a new one.